Assalamualaikum and hey everyone. We would like to extend a warm welcome to everyone on this amazing afternoon for attending our inaugural Sembang Marketing Tech. So with me, I have two amazing speakers, Stephen Lim, CEO of FusionQB, and Manisah Sarujee, Geek-in-Command of Brand Geeks Inc. Welcome to Sembang Marketing Tech. Before we start our session today, thank you, Work, for hosting the Sembang Marketing Tech today. Here's the short message from the host.
Work, work, work. Meetings. Work, work, work. Boring. Work, work.
Work, work, work. Let's collaborate. Work, work, work. We'll motivate. Work, work, work. Now take a break.
Thank you again, Work, our venue sponsor for today and Turbocharge.Live 2022. Okay, let's get our session started. Stephen and Manisah, maybe a quick introduction about what you guys do. Let's start with Stephen.
Hi, thank you for the invitations. Thank you, Daniel. Hi, audience, and also Melissa from Turbocharge also. So first of all, FusionQB is a Malaysia leading data-driven company that provide customer super app platform with the aim of helping businesses to improve customer engagement and also increase sales conversions through the customer data insight and also customer behavioral analysis. So FusionQB has the presence in Malaysia, Singapore, and also Indonesia, empowering more than 60 B2B clients and still increasing with our data automation solution and also digital transformation implementation experience throughout the years. So we always believe connected experience is everything in the business, all in one single mobile applications.
Oof, I can't beat that. Having so much things to say in such a short time. But I'll try to match. I'm Manisah. I'm from Brand Geeks Inc. And we've been nurturing legendary brands that change the world with branding, marketing powered by marketing tech since 2011. With Sembang Marketing Tech, we hope to deep dive into, a lot of the amazing information that marketers need to be up to speed with. Stephen, I'm happy to have you here with us today, and I look forward to learning more from you. About the topic that we'll be covering on. Okay, over to you, Daniel.
Okay, such an awesome introduction from both of you. So today we are going to sembang about brand activation using a mobile-first strategy. A few of our viewers may be curious, and I think even a few of us may be scratching our heads about what mobile-first strategy even means and what is the impact of mobile-first on our marketing. So my first question is, for those who may not know what is the difference between mobile responsive design and mobile first design, why should it matter and who needs to know?
Thanks, Daniel. I think it's a very, very impressive questions coming together in these Sembang discussions we are going to have, right? I think, but we have to zoom back a little bit with my experience. In fact, for the past 18 years, I've been very much involved in enterprise project implementations, right? That's covering by implementing web portal, web solutions, right? But 8 years ago, we actually comes together with my co-founders, Alvin, Stone, and also Reno, that we came into a picture where we sit at the Starbucks discussing about what is actually come next, right? So we has been wondering about how can the mobile applications really help in businesses. So fast forward from there, that's actually the start of the entire conversation, and we decided that we came out and set up our own business that focusing on mobile application solutions. Of course, fast forward 2022, everything seems to be make sense on the mobile channels, mobile applications like strategy, right? But to be honest, 8 years ago, when we talk about mobile app to a lot of like business owner, right? We got actually slapped on the face and says that, as long as I have a website, as long as I have an e-commerce site, that's more than enough already. So I think fast forward today, especially through the pandemic that we have actually came across, right? I think we find ourselves at the intersections of like ongoing pandemic and also endemic, and in the situations that evolving a technology landscape changes that prioritize customer experience on on a mobile application. But we will speak a little bit more in details into that. But of course, back to the questions, the difference between mobile responsive design, which this term has actually been like discussing about it like maybe like 15 years ago or 10 years ago, right? So when we talk about mobile responsive design, we are just talking about responsive web design that responding into the device display sizes only, right? You already have like a website, you just respond it into the mobile devices that you have. As compared to mobile first design is totally very different. So on the other hand, it's a proactive approach that for us to design something from the usage and also from the space that we have on the mobile application. You cannot just like design a web, then you try to like squeeze it into a mobile. But when you design something, you actually design start from a mobile screen. Then you decide that whether you want to have a web responsive to the bigger spaces. So I think all of us also have to like be agreed on. For you to design something that with a big spaces is a lot more easier as compared to a limited sizes that we have today on the mobile application itself. But of course, extending from the questions from here is that, what about mobile first strategy in business? That's totally different also, right? To be a mobile first, businesses must begin with their digital transformations, focuses on creating a user experience that just as effective as mobile devices that we have today. So I think the idea is this. So if your business has a user experience that can convert sales by using a mobile device anytime, anywhere, then that's basically the first step of having mobile first strategy in your business today.
I just want to add on. Definitely, coming from our experience of setting up websites for clients, right? When it comes to the amount of information that can go into a website, the real estate that we start with does make a big difference because like what Stephen was saying, when you start from a desktop point of view, the real estate is wider. There's a lot more space to put in there, and when it comes to responsiveness, sometimes if you're lucky, if you're using a good template, it could work out. But if it doesn't, then you might have a problem there because essentially the responsiveness tries to cram everything into that one little device, into that small estate. And in terms of the mobile first approach, you start from small, but trying to work backwards, I think is not as easy as well, I think, Stephen. But I think that's where you were saying the digitalization aspect needs to be addressed so that when you work backwards from small to big, companies can still optimize from that approach. But this is something that I guess what today is about, how brands could activate their brands by using that approach instead of the traditional approach of big to small. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so can I say that it really depends on who are you targeting when it comes to activating your brands using mobile first strategy? Is it? Can I say that?
Well, we can say that. I think that's the first thought that we come into everyone's mind, right? So today, when you want to develop a business, not to mention that you want to transform a business, but to develop a business, right? So where do you actually start from, right? So I think if you can actually like start positioning yourself from the app perspective, with the statistic that we have today in Malaysia, right? In Malaysia, based on the 2nd of June statistics that we have from MCMC, right now in Malaysia, right, we have 98.7% of the internet user are using mobile phone to come in. So I think it tells you something from there.
Wow.
So if you're a business owner
Yeah.
out there, I think that's basically the part that you should be like focusing on.
Okay, great. Moving on to the next question. What have been changes in people and or technology that make a mobile first strategy necessary?
um, instead of like just mentioning about changes, right, I think it's more on like for us to like slowly transform, in a very unconscious kind of like feeling that we have. To be honest, this pandemic itself, as what the statistics has actually mentioned. If you look at the statistic that we have today, right, 97% of the teenager right now, they are using the smartphone instead of a laptop to access the internet, right? So user that's coming in from the internet are basically close to about 80%, and they are basically looking at like more and more on the coming years itself. So from there, especially through the pandemic, we don't if we put the statistic aside, even we ask about ourselves, right? So during the pandemics, we almost assess every single part of our life going through mobile applications or the mobile channels of it, right? At least minimum. So we order food, right, through the mobile app. We order grocery through the mobile app. We even like communicate with each other, family members, also like through the mobile app as well. So for young generations, like the kids, they are accessing their education need, which has never done it before, going through the mobile channels as well. So I think most of them are using tablets to access the course information. So that's basically the transformations that has been made by the pandemic period that we have been through. So if you ask me, that has actually been changed, without we realizing it. And these changes
Yeah.
actually stay throughout the entire journey that we have today.
Of course, when you start looking at consumer intelligence data, and if you look at the behavior of the different generations, if you look at the generations who are consuming data, of course, it can come from different levels. It can come from Gen Alpha, Gen Z, Gen Y, Gen X, baby boomers. I think silent generation is also consuming data. And if you look at consumer intelligence data, you can see that they are consuming data differently. They are responding to the whole pandemic differently. And but you can see kind of like a trend that of course when you look at the older generation, they're probably going for bigger screens, maybe allocated time to consume data, whereas the younger ones tend to be a lot more on the go, a lot more mobile compared to the older ones. So from what we're seeing, brands who are targeting the younger generation, they definitely have to address their mobile first strategy a lot more than the older ones, because the older ones, they're kind of like adapting to these changes of I guess ways of consuming information more slowly, but the younger ones, I mean, if I just look at the rate of consuming videos, for example, like once upon a time, 1 minute videos would be sufficient, but nowadays you have to keep it like really short and really sweet. Otherwise, they won't be able to, they won't wait to finish the video, right? So in that sense, I believe brands need to look at the changes to the way that they are offering their products and services, and how they are communicating, and this to me does affect the choices when it comes to, is it critical for brands to go mobile first compared to others. So for me, I go for yes. The changes in behavior does affect whether it is a necessity or not.
Yeah, we ourselves as a consumer, I think we really have to ask ourselves, Manisah,
Yeah.
what you have actually pointed out over here. Mobile first is definitely a must, right? So I came across to purchase a lot of goods these days as well for one of the new hobby that I've actually picked up. yeah, I step into a shopping mall for meeting, but I realized that I have never purchased anything through the shopping malls, physically. So when I get back home, then the night before I got sleep, then I would just browse, the brand of like Under Armour. I would just check it out and say, hey, okay, these are some of the things that I want to do. So I just like goes to their e-commerce and even like the app that they have, then we just like pick the item that we want, and we just purchase directly from there. In fact, you can see that's part of the changes that we have done through it, right? So it's we have to ask ourselves, right? One side of it, the other side of it is really think about like even the cash that we hold right now, right, is relatively quite small because every single places that we went to, right? So we will just ask, hey, if there is any QR, break down QRs to be there, then we just very easily just take up the phone and just snap on it. Then that's how payment is being done. So it's so much important that we have to think about, does your business really like, a necessity for them to enable a mobile first strategy by capturing the consumer that we have in the mobile space today?
But I think, Stephen, but I think even if it's not a necessity today, but for a brand to be sustainable, because you can see that the spenders are going to go up. So of course, the younger ones, they're probably spending their parents' money lah. They're not spending their own money, right? I bet you if they had cash, they would just spend it on the spot because they can be they can be that decisive when it comes to something that they want, right? But for brands to be sustainable, for you to, because for me, whenever we work on digitalization of a brand, you need to look at a 5 to 10 years time frame. You really cannot just design for the next 1 year. You're gonna spend a lot of money if every year you have to refresh your website, right? So mobile first, whilst it may not be a necessity for some brands, I think they still need to address it. It's just that it may not be as critical as compared to other brands who are targeting the younger group. Do you agree?
True. Maybe some of the brand out there, they're still thinking of like activations going through physically is the most easier. I just like spend my marketing budgets like getting more and more promoters on the ground and then keep like activating the customer through the physical environments or business landscape that they have, right? What we are discussing over here, right, Manisah, we are not saying that activating through the physical channel is no longer effective. No, we are not coming in from that. I think we should put this disclaimer, right? So, but it's just that what we are thinking of is to start, getting the business to be like more online and also more focused by developing a mobile first strategy in their business as well.
It's about the balance. It's about the balance. Yeah, maintaining old and new. Yeah.
Exactly.
We've got a very interesting statement from the audience. Hi Gabriel, the younger people are turning soon into people who produce their own money, making them capable of consuming way more data. Wow, yes, I definitely agree with that. What do you think, Stephen?
Of course,
You're looking at the way your kids are consuming data, right? They are consuming data like crazy.
They are consuming data. In fact, as the statistic has mentioned, right, 78% of the teenager are basically, of the internet users are coming from a teenager. So I think it's very obvious that why we should be like focusing on the right audience that we have today, right? So speaking about that, we also like came across on the industrial experience that we have, right, with Touch and Go also. So how long you have been holding the Touch and Go card? So I think for like close to about 15 years, maybe 18 years, or maybe like even more than that. But we still need the cards to be able to just be on the kiosk side to make the top up on that. But just recently also, Touch and Go has actually announced that you can actually have the NFC card to be able to like tap together with the mobile app for them to make a top up directly from there. So that has also like, tells you, even bigger corporation out there has already embedded or start like developing their mobile first like strategies on some of traditional business processes that they have. They are trying to like evolve it from there. So that's, I think it tells you something.
I think the only issue with Touch and Go right now is they're not producing enough cards.
Exactly.
People are they're gagging for the newer cards, but there's not enough. So So
Yeah.
you heard it here, guys. Touch and go. We need
Yep.
more of those SIM cards.
Additional tips to the audience that we have today. They just announced that they have a new batch of like cards released yesterday. So quickly go and rush in and pick up your card there.
Yep. All right. Yeah, I think in terms of the changes in people and technology, definitely we can see those changes, and we are also advising our clients to know themselves, to understand their target customers, and to plan well, and work towards the necessary transformation lah. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, Manisah. My third question for you, Stefan. Can you share with us which industries are leading in the adoption of mobile first and doing the most exciting things?
Yeah. Who else other than touch and go? Just now you started already. Go ahead.
No, I been long enough in the industry. For the past 8 years, we have been like going around and trying to nurture the clients on the mobile app and also the mobile first strategies. Right. In fact, a lot of them already start having this initiative implemented. If you ask us, probably we should be like coming in from the perspective like which industry. I don't seems to actually realize if there is any industrial that's not picking up mobile strategies from their business plan and also executions perspective. The reason, even like agriculture, they also start like leveraging on IoT and through the mobile app channels as well. So, but if you were to say that the leading in adoptions for the past 2 years of pandemic, I think you have actually see a big move from the retail mall that they now really like practicing like offline, O to O, offline to online, and also online to offline, right? You can actually order goods and then you can pick it up directly from the shopping mall. F&B services, I think very much relevance to us, right? So you can order anything, over the app right now today, right? So I think the third industrial that probably I personally like, likes it and also have been like witnesses how they actually transform, which is the healthcare industry. So healthcare used to be an industry that we definitely will need to be on site and then to obtain the consultation from the doctors itself, right? We have to queue up, then wait for our turns, and also slot. Then only we can go in and then speak to the doctor. But right now today, we can basically like do it over the teleconsultation platform that we have available in the market today. I can secure an appointment with Sunway Medical through the app. I can actually speak to the doctor through the app. I can access all the medications records via the app as well. So I think we have a very interesting like industrial transformations that's happening along the journey that we have. Of course, last but not least, also need to mention a little bit on the property developers property industry, right? So right now we even can place a booking directly through the app as well. For us to purchase the biggest ticket in life, which is property, so we need to be in sales gallery. We need to go through the sales gallery. We have to go through the process, everything physically. But right now, people can just like place a booking directly via the app itself. I think all industry they have to actually like try start transforming themselves in the mobile first channels.
You can technically like build like a whole economy of your own with all these industries that you're covering. Do you think this is gonna ever extend to I guess I'm thinking about the social enterprises, the less profit driven organizations, because right now if you talk about property, healthcare, there's a lot of justification why they should go into mobile first. But the more altruistic side of the economy, do you think they will ever adopt this as well, and they could optimize on it?
It's happening
How
right
would it
now.
work for them?
It's happening
Yeah.
that now. I think under the SE, social entrepreneurs, right? You can actually see that we have a lot of like startup platform that's right now providing a channel for the B40 to be able to produce something. It could be food, it could be products and also services through the channels that I have and make available to the public. We already have loads of like startups that's doing it. So I think if you ask us, everything seems to be like coming in place. So government has just also announced that 5G contract, finally the negotiations, everything, like, everyone has actually agreed on the terms. The government needs another like maybe 8 to 10 days for them to make official announcements to that, and hopefully 5G please come to us as quick as possible. So third,
Absolutely.
Malaysia also sent up like one satellite, right? So to provide internet to rural area, so hopefully that could actually change something from there as well. So I think with all these infrastructures to make available to the entire nation of Malaysia, we should be seeing more and more mobile users coming in from within Malaysia itself.
I'm looking forward to the price of the devices going down, because I think the cleverest smartphones, they're getting more and more expensive. But I guess with more users, that should drive the price down, hopefully. Hopefully.
Yeah. So while it depends on which range of like devices that we are coming in, throughout the pandemic also we have donated quite a fair bit of like tablets to the B40s as well. So when we go out and
Wow.
do our own research, right, we notice that actually out there, right, 200 to 300, you can probably get quite a decent of tablet. And again, that is a tablet for you to enable, maybe certain limited functionality that you want to use it only. Let's not comparing to like iPad and the rest of the like high-end kind of tablet, but to some of the people, some of the students out there, right, that range of tablet is actually good enough for them to be able to access internet, to be able to perform a certain task within it.
Yeah.
So if you ask us, hopefully we could see more and more subsidiary of devices, and also can bring down a little bit in terms of like tax on the devices. I think that will be very helpful.
Yep. Looking forward to that, to that type of announcement as well. So I thought this came to my mind, because I think at some point, with all the technology opportunities, brands started considering having their own mobile app. So what you're saying is that with the mobile first strategy, that means they can have something like that can function like a mobile app, but it's not a mobile app, right? It's web based.
It could be. So there are many ways of like implementing the mobile first strategy, right? You point out rightfully, Manisah. So, but of course, and also depends on the budgets and also the priority and the roadmap that the client has also. But we always have this list of like questions that we discuss together with our client, right? So you understand your business better than anyone else. That's the reason that why you are doing the business that you are doing, right? But we are the one that who went out and then enabled the discussions between what you have known all this year, and also some of the uncertainties that they are not aware of, or maybe like some of the new parts that they are not so familiar with. So question like this will probably like raise up like, will the customer continue to prioritize the mobile app over other channels? Or it could be a web channel, it could be a social media channel. Certain business, they seems to be like doing good on the social media channel, but not on the mobile app, right? So those are the questions that we really have to like sit down separately with our clients to understand it better. So some of the questions also will include like, will your brand evolve customer experience to meet the new demand, right? Customer seems to be like more and more demanding, right? So I want something more from there. There are a lot more other options that they have. What will be the long-term impact, on the consumer behavior with the app channels that you have? So how will the consumer and also brand negotiate, deliver the expected value or not? So some of the questions will really like evolving the discussions that we have together with a client. I wouldn't say that the businesses that came to us and will recommend them or mobile applications is the output of it. So we do have customer that at the end of the day, we just tell them that, hey, let's don't go with the mobile app. Let's go with like just a very basic, very fundamental digital marketing plans that we should actually go out first in the first 3 months, testing the market and trying to understand, what do your consumer really, care about or really wants about before we start like throwing in mobile app. So we have been seeing a lot of like failure in terms of like implementing app version 1.0. So when it comes to app, come to us, they want to implement like version 2.0. So that's where some of the assessment and also some of the design thinking assessment that we have to like go through it together with them. I wouldn't say
I
that
guess
the first step definitely.
I guess it also depends on how much effort they want to make on bringing the traffic to the app, because it is an effort of its own, right? When you have an app, you want people to download it, you want people to use the apps. Comparatively to using a mobile first type of website, I guess you can leverage on say Google to use the algorithm to draw the crowd to get to your app, and that's part of the consideration. The what the customer is willing to do in order to bring the crowd to their respective apps. All right, and we've got a question here. Stephen, has the word super app been overused and lost its impact? Because I think like over the last 1 year, there have been some announcements of some organizations wanting to work towards their super app, and some organizations who have achieved that status. So what say you?
I've been answering this question for like many times. In fact, I think, of course, the terms of like super app seems to be like, the Superman of every single like app services that we have out there, right? But in fact, I think the if we break it, the super app into or we transform the super app to become a business app or a customer app, right? That actually tell totally a different context in terms of the definitions that we have over here. Yeah, the word of like super app has been overly used. Yes, which is right. Thanks, Selmi, from there. But if you speak to every different like business owner that they have, right? So they are just coming in from a business perspective. I want to develop a business app. I want to develop what you call a customer app that relevance to my customer, my business context. So I want a super app because I want to be able to consolidate and also to integrate all the business assets that I have in the ecosystem into one single app. So that's the terms that why they pull it as a super app. Their context of super app is totally different as compared to like touch and go super app, Grab super app. They're just coming in from their business perspective. If we may, we should add additional business term in front of the super app. So business super app platform. So that actually give you another meaning of it. So of course, we don't expect any of the business can actually just come in and then trying to like produce something that Grab has been actually producing, or Touch and Go has been producing for the past like 5 years or 6 years or 7 or 8 years, right? So really that's basically coming from the business context because they are speaking in from their perspective.
I think it's also about how they want to make it captive, because with all the business assets that the company or the organization has, when they use a super app, bringing together all the assets, and keeping the community that they have satisfied with all those assets in a way, by keeping it captive, so the customers don't have to go anywhere else to find any other solutions. Like for example, like if I am using Grab, I can get a credit card, I can pay later, I can get food, I can buy a gift, I can order a cake for birthdays. And now that Grab is going to become a virtual bank, that means I'm going to be able to get more facilities. So I think again it's back to brands. What do you want to achieve with all your assets, with the customers that you already have, and with the customers that you plan to have? Because obviously you always want to grow your customer database, right? So brands need to ask that question, whether you're willing to invest in all that, and whether you're willing to build the resources needed to support that business model, right, Stephen?
Yeah, well said, Manisah. So it's very true. In fact, if I'm a business owner right now today, right? I mean, coming from like any part of the industry, say for example retail, right? So I think your customer will not go to Grab and then look for, let's say for example, a shopping malls like services, right? It just don't apply over there. So yes, we have Grab in the market right now today, but your your customer, right, will not go to Grab and then look for your business. So you need to define your own mobile first channel and also mobile app strategies to activate with your brands and or a list of brands that you are carrying for your customer itself, right? So let's take an example like WCT. WCT has a very comprehensive ecosystem. They have shopping malls, they have hotels, they have property, they have airports. Airport malls as a services provider. They have their own F&B as well, right? So all your customer, you definitely don't want them to residing in Grab because you don't know how many brands that Grab is actually carrying, right? So you definitely don't want to lose your customer data through the Grab or the super app that we have out there. So businesses today, you definitely want to really have your own business app. That strategy. Yeah, right. One of the key topic that I think we probably will discuss a little bit more in details in the Turbocharge.Live is customer data, right? So how much that you can actually have the insight that's coming in from the customer data that you have captured. So how what are the solutions out there will be able to help you by capturing the data, automating it, and then optimize it for your call to actions.
Yeah, I'm curious. So Daniel, what super app do you use? Do you use any super apps?
I'm at the moment I live in ICT, so I think ICT have their own super app, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe from a user experience, do you find it handy?
Yes, I find it very helpful because at the moment I've been using this app to go for parking, especially, as well as gossiping. Because we can be connected to each other using the app. For
Okay.
example, if we have problems in this block, we can start to gossip. Oh, how come the water pressure is so slow? Apa semua tu? The app can be connected.
Maybe social listening is something that we can do with the super apps after this.
Yeah, with the app you can capture all this conversation.
Yeah. So we got a question, Daniel.
Okay. Okay, what's next? You mentioned about O2O brand activation just now, Stephen. So with the economy opening up as a part of endemic phase, how can mobile first support O2O brand activation?
Okay. That's basically quite a wide topic for us to cover as well, but put it into a very simplified context of it, right? Everyone already so get used to Manisah in Malaysia, right? So everyone already so get used to scanning the QR. So whenever you have to walk into a place, I still remember during the pandemic period. So whenever they have to walk into a shop, then very indirect that you will be just bring up the phone and scan on the QR itself. So mobile applications is out there for you to have customer profiling and also for you to be able to establish or develop the customer relationship with customer history, customer preferences itself, right? So you can, put it in the layman context that by understanding all this customer profiling and also behavior, you can always be more targeting or be more targeted by sending them the e-voucher that make relevance to them, right? And then they feel like want to spend the voucher and redeem the voucher by walking into your store, right? Best is they can even just order it directly from the mobile app and then pick it up from the shop itself. So I think this is quite a very straightforward context that we have, and of course there will be a lot more that we can do by empowering AI and also big data into the context. But I think we'll save this big topic for the next sections.
I've been seeing efforts to use things like augmented reality on devices with interaction with things around people. So they have the markers or the things or QR codes to scan that allows the customers to see and interact with the products in the device. But it draws you and it gets you to go to the stores, and I think these are some of the. I mean, of course, when you talk about it 8 years ago, people go like, wow, augmented reality is not something possible. And today, if you go into social media, you see a lot of brands kind of doing that. Again, my question for Stephen is that when it comes to creativity of developing campaigns that will support O2O, what is your prediction? What do you expect to see in the next, I don't know, 1-2 years? Do you expect
Um,
anything new to come out from that?
we always want to keep that as a part of our business secret. So
No
so
sharing, yeah?
yeah, the O2O, there are a lot more I would say that activity that comes together. So especially just now I did mention about healthcare, right? In fact, I'm very interested on the way that how the healthcare transformation is happening, right? Just going
Yeah.
through just mobile applications only. So we're just coming in from that channel. In fact, there are a lot more other things that by having mobile app to be the channels to the customer, by integrating to a lot of like different devices, tracking the health of a particular patients and understanding the behavior of the health conditions of particular patients, and powering by AI by introducing what will be the right wellness activity that suit to the patients as well. So those are the things that if you ask us, there are a lot more other things that we can actually do just by having a mobile phone. Mobile phone is only a tool for us to be able to
Yeah.
access to the app, right? But the most important part are the use cases, that where do you want to focus and what
Yeah.
are the priority that you want to focus. So don't
Yeah.
get don't have the impressions of like mobile phone is pretty much quite limited for you. In fact, it's very powerful. It's a channel that for you to be able to access mobile plus internet. I think it could actually allows you to access a lot more data that you want to be able to collect over the times, and things is happening right now in the world, right? So that's, and again, it's only one part that's coming from the healthcare industry. um, Something that relevance to us also, I think, from the insurance perspective, as you all also know, right? So even
Yeah.
right now today, insurance company tends to actually start like tracking the driving behavior that you have over here as well, right? So those are things that is really happening via a mobile app. Last time we will still have to like depends on the devices, but right now by activating the device, you can do a lot more with that. But come back to the brand activations that applies to most of the retails industry or the consumer industry. So I think very straightforward that you want your brands to be known and to be like always appear in the presence of their handphone. If you notice, you probably will realize that Shopee send you a lot more discount, like notifications as compared to any other app within your mobile phone itself. But why you never like uninstall the Shopee? Because it make relevance to you. So I think a lot of time when it comes from the consumer perspective itself, the O2O make you like, if you just imagine that you have certain promotion that's coming in from a shopping mall, and some like activity or event that's coming in from a shopping mall that relevance to you. They are not. Please don't go out and spend them by keep pushing relevant or not relevant push notification to them. You have to understand profile preferences.
Stephen, I kind of like just realized from something you said just now that when you open up an app, right, and then when you close your phone, you kind of like don't realize that your app is actually still running, although you have I don't know, lock your phone or whatever, and that actually means data is still running, data is still being sent back to the brand. So that is where brands like the insurance companies can still continue to get feedback, right, from their app. So I think that is something that we've been telling brands to always understand when you're working with any kind of platforms, to understand how it works, to fully maximize on it, because some of these things can actually provide input that they need, especially in terms of behavior, preferences, places that the customers go. But to be honest, it does sound freaky. It does sound freaky. It sounds like, as long as you've got like enough numbers of the population that is unaware about the app still running, that's sending back all this input, that people can actually check where you go and things you do. Okay, so there has to be, I think, some level of, I guess, ethics that brands need to take care of, lah, so that they don't abuse the level of information that they're getting, right?
Sounds
For
very
any,
scary, right?
very scary, very scary. So we've got a
Sounds
question from Tita. She's been waiting, actually. How do you see the future of mobile first strategy in Malaysia, Stephen?
very positive if you ask me. And apart from positive as an answer, right? In fact, I've been like seeing a lot more aggressive business, business driver who actually like, came to us. When you say business driver, mean the owner of the business itself. We even see, trading group. Just a very traditional like trading group. They used to be a industry that's basically like purchasing the goods and then sell it over the channel. They even like came to us also. We start like discussing. We spend about 3 hours like going around and then trying to understand their business a little bit and see how we can actually offer the mobile first solutions to them. So in fact, if you ask us in Malaysia itself, comparing to 8 years ago, now it's a lot more positive and I would use the word of like aggressive to define what we have right now today in the business of Malaysia.
All right. Okay. So I think we've got some other questions as well that's come in. Safety is asking, designing for mobile first is more limited in content and navigation compared to the desktop version. In your case, what are the challenges or technical issues in designing or building FusionQB? Wow. Okay. Go ahead, Stephen.
Yeah, I think that's the context that we're discussing, right? So building up something in a desktop version is definitely a lot more easier as compared to a limited mobile size that we have today, right? But that actually bring the importance of like having this mobile first strategy in mind, right? So you are not trying to like squeeze everything of your business into the app. That's the reason that why mobile first strategies do come with the element of the data analytics capability that you have. And also, of course, not to mention a little bit of like intelligent, I wouldn't say it's like AI, but a little bit of intelligence analysis or insight that's come together with it. Because when we design a mobile, first strategy within the app, the limited size that we have, right, we really have to think like at least like 10 times like handle and also debug that, what exactly that you want your consumers and also your customer to be able to see. So that is, I think, the perspective that we are driving in. So there are a few elements of like consideration and also best practices that we should be like putting into the perspective. Perhaps maybe you can drop us, an email in a LinkedIn, whether it's Melissa or whether it's myself. Then we can actually share with you some of the what we call best practices paper that we have been practicing all this while.
I think it's kind of like when you're designing for a billboard. There's only so much you can put on a billboard because cars are gonna just pass, and there's not much time to actually read. So you really have to prioritize the kind of information they put on a billboard. But it's just like the difference is it's going to be a small device, right? It's kind of like a tiny device. Yeah. So definitely, I think brands need to also look at their current situation as well. Because for example, like if let's say based on your existing website, when you look at Google Analytics, you're finding that people are spending a lot of time in certain sections of your website. That's kind of like telling you that those sections are important to them, right? So if you're moving to mobile first, so that's kind of like an indication that you should prioritize those kind of information because they want it. So when you want to like kind of like strip off the other details, you make sure that the prioritized items are there, and you're using data to kind of like come to those kind of decisions, right, Stephen? Am I applying this correctly?
Yeah, correct. So that's also tells that why data is very important for us, and also whatever that we decide, right? So after like 6 months, then we should come together to understand, the 6 months over for the past 6 months, right? How does all this data that being applicable to you? Then from the app design perspective, then you should be able to identify which are the area that being less utilized, within the app itself. Then you probably want to like put it into a second pages itself. So there are a lot more others like element that we could actually like put into the picture. So even we have some of the app that you have a dynamic like landing page for them also. So the dynamic landing page will actually like keep tweaking based on the period that you have actually defined for to run your campaign. Certain times you probably want your app to be able to focus on a certain campaign and drive the user conversion that's coming in from the campaign. So those are things that we should also like put into the element of consideration as well.
All right, all right. Okay, Stefan, my last question to you would be, if a company hasn't adopted mobile first, what are the steps? What can it do now?
Okay, so
first call FusionQB.
Whether or not, I think we all have to do it, right? So we all have to understand and also accept the fact of customer are very much demanding right now today, right? So consumer are really tired with a lot of promises that are not delivered, and due to this, it become more and more difficult for the brands to really build up the relationship between you and also the customers, right? So, and we have actually seen a lot of businesses, they have actually throw a big waste of money in terms of one-way advertisement to their targeted audience itself. Like, why not you basically keep all this money or all this budget into implement something that allows you to interact with the customer, as a return. So if you ask us, so you should start really engaging the right team, right? The right team like brand geeks, right? To be in the picture, understanding your business a little bit, not necessarily to jump into the implementation, but to assess and also to understand your business a little bit. So how can we actually strengthen the relationship between you and also your client? Do we have a certain channels, by strengthen this part of it and to build a long-term relationship? Or if not, how do you engage your markets, in the right way also? So those are some of the questions that we can just share with you. But of course, come to us. We can also have more, a deeper conversations together with your team. Whether it's business team or IT team, we can always sit down together to understand, in which gap area that we can actually help to resolve these situations.
So I guess there's no hard and fast rule to it. Can you say that, Stephen? There's no simple answer to how a company should.
Simple answer.
There's no simple answer.
I always like to joke about this. Simple answer is to look at your competitors. Are they doing, are they starting something? So look at your competitors. You understand your competitors well, right? So just look at how they have been performing, right? So over here, we also have a report that coming from Forrester as well. So for businesses who actually empowered the mobile first channel, they have actually seen the 5x revenue growth as compared to businesses who do not have a mobile first strategy at all. So mobile first is actually a term, So, but even right now today, if you go Google, right, mobile first strategy is already going to be a past. Mobile only strategy is the next term that we should be discussing more deeper also.
Mobile only strategy. Okay. I think for me, I would add on, apart from look at your competitors, also look at brands you aspire to become. Because if let's say there are really good brands who have adopted the strategy really well, that could give you some ideas about how you want to approach your mobile first strategy as well. Okay, so we've got a question from Sarah. Go ahead, Daniel.
Okay, how effective is the mobile first strategy to achieve seamless brand activation than the other device? Sarah di Baputri. Okay.
Seamless brand activation.
Yeah, thanks, Sarah. So I will put into a conclusion that mobile first strategy is definitely the way to go, Sarah. We actually discussed a little bit on the statistic that we have today, right? In terms of the mobile users. I think Gabriel, one of our audience, also highlighting that the young generations that we have today are already using mobile channels to earn their more money and also spend more data via the mobile as well. So I think the effective, the result of effectiveness, right, is really looking at if you have a mobile and also a web channel, right, you should be able to see the comparison out from there. So that's, I think, is pretty much quite straightforward for us to have. But of course, if you want, we can share a few more like use cases that we have actually done before via the implementation services that or experience that we have done it before.
Yeah. I mean, the closest I've gotten to a seamless brand activation is the Family Mart vending machine. If you've tried it before, you pay with your mobile, and then you pick your food or drink and or whatever you're buying, and it will just pop up. It was quite seamless, I feel. So I guess at the moment, seamless could mean the timing between actions you take on your mobile and the deliverable or what you get out of that action. If it's a short period of time, people will feel that it's seamless. But of course, you can't match that to Daniel's experience with the ICT gossiping lah, the ICT group gossiping. I'm sure the social activation of issues is much more seamless than my experience with the Family Mart vending machine. Thanks, Sarah, for that question.
Correct. Yeah. To Sarah's questions also, I think having the mobile apps to be there, of course, the very first questions that every businesses that has been asking, right? So yes, we have a mobile application, but nobody wants to download on it, right? So comparing to the brand activation strategy that they have out there, but I think this is really the realistic fact that we have to like come with it. That also depends on how do you activate your user acquisition strategies within the plan as well. So that's multi-million question for us to ask ourselves. If you have a business that nobody want to come in, right? How should you be like dealing with it? So seamless could actually mean a lot, you know, perspective or element that we should put into the context as well.
Yeah, especially so when it comes to customer service quality that has to definitely be in place. Right? When you're in the context of seamlessness.
Many years back, I still remember that we have a lot of like e-wallets app out there, right? So coming from a different brands itself. So while different e-wallet brands will have a different strategies by throwing out the money and throwing out the promotions, throwing out their own strategies by acquiring the users from there. So I think it really depends on the focuses that we have that's coming in. So we also have like Li Renjia, right? We also have RJ that asking the questions as well. So what are the most significant differences that we have seen between brands that are using mobile app and also responsive web app also? Yeah. So if you basically like looking at the some of businesses that we have actually came across, using mobile app is definitely a lot more seamless, like what Sarah has actually pointed out, right? So as compared to a responsive web app. So responsive web app is probably, you still have to remember the URL for you to be able to tap into your mobile app. But mobile app is where that we remember, okay, so we want to purchase something, we straight away log on to the app. We just like, browse the app and then we just like click on it and it will just browse and we type in whatever that we want, right? So so as you can see, Shopee has the web base as well, but Shopee also has its own app as well. Ask ourselves that I only use Shopee app. I've never used Shopee web for us to purchase anything out from there. So that's, I think, is one of the I mean, one of the significant differences is probably, I would say, that the consumer behavior right now today. We would rather to deal with like app behavior and also experience rather than web have to wait for the loading parts to kick in.
Yeah, and I also see difference in terms of the optimization of the space, because when you use responsive web apps, what happens is that it's the same set of information, but they're just arranging it right differently. So you do end up kind of like scrolling a lot more than if you were to look at a mobile first app. A mobile first app would be optimized for that real estate. So in terms of optimizing focus, utilization of what you're offering in the two pages is also, you get different responses from your customers as well. That's what I see. Yeah.
From the technical point of view, also a lot more easier in terms of integrating to some other like part of the services such as like payment, right? Such as like certain like scanning capability that we have on the mobile phone itself, right? So some of the GPS that we have, right? So if you like something on the mobile app itself, then we can just like press a call or WhatsApp, then straight away bring you over already, right? So I think those are some of the experience that we could probably like enjoy more from the mobile application. Not to mention from the business perspective, of course, I want you to use mobile app. The reason because I can start,
Yeah.
tracking some of the data and also behavior of a particular mobile
Yeah.
app users itself, right? And to deliver
Yeah.
something that close to you and relevant to you as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, wow, wow. I think I've learned so much about mobile first strategy today, Stephen and Manisah. Thank you so much. I don't know about you guys who are watching this show. So let me try to summarize the marketer's checklist for mobile first strategy for brand activation. Firstly, review the changes in the behavior of your existing and target customers. Next,
Right.
zoom in on key information that they require on mobile and expand from there. Thirdly, you need to define your own mobile first strategies in order to be fit to your customer and your brands. Fourthly, how the mobile first need to be captive in order to keep the customer. And finally, incorporate your mobile first with your O2O activities and look out for your competitors. Okay.
Nicely,
Okay.
nicely done.
Now that we have come to the end of the session, I would like to express my gratitude to everyone who is watching, as well as to Stephen Lim and Manisa for making time for Sembang Marketing Tech. To all marketers out there, please take note of the marketer's checklist for mobile first strategy for brand activation and share us your experience. If you guys want to see Stefan again, do check out Turbocharge.Live 2022 Marketing Tech Conference at Turbocharge.Live. It is a 2-day virtual conference and masterclass series of marketers and marketing techies to converge, connect, and collaborate in the increasingly vital field of marketing. Marketing techies to converge. Also, sorry, vital field of marketing tech. Okay, here are my last words. Marketing tech, future forward.
Good one. Good one, Daniel.
Let's see some videos. Taufik.